Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. Mexican authorities are still tallying the impact of one of the most powerful earthquakes ever to hit the country. The U.S. Geological Survey says a magnitude 8.1 struck off the nation's Pacific coast late Thursday. It's the strongest quake to hit there in the last century. Officials say at least 60 people are dead. Hundreds of buildings are collapsed or seriously damaged. Nearly 2 million people were without power. The latest earthquake is drawing comparisons to the 8.0 quake that hit Mexico City in 1985, killing thousands. More than 5 million people have been asked to evacuate Florida ahead of Hurricane Irma. AP reporter Josh Rapogo tells us about the effort to get Miami's homeless to safety.
I have another van coming with people. I gotta go.
Police and social workers organize a plan to get some of the 1,000 plus homeless people off the streets of Miami and into shelters before the deadly powerful Category 4 Hurricane Irma hits Florida.
Anybody that's still staying on the streets, they're going to die. They're going to die.
Guys, are we going to the park first?
Loading into shuttle vans, the team, led by the Miami-Dade County Homeless Trust, heads to Bayfront Park in downtown.
Today, what we're doing is we've made a decision that all of those individuals, the homeless individuals in our community, oftentimes considered the least, the lost, the last, and the forgotten, we're reminding them that they're not forgotten.
With psychiatrists on site, ready with Baker Act paperwork, 5 people had to be forced against their will using the Florida Mental Health Act, commonly known as the Baker Act, which allows officials to involuntarily institutionalize people for their own safety.
They don't want to be locked up in a damn building for 3-4 days. Must be, because I'm not too happy about having to do it, but I'd rather be in there than out here when that storm hits.
Stephen Nolan was one of the 70 to come willingly Friday morning, but around 600 are still estimated to be on the streets.
And I am not going to sign suicide notes for people that are homeless in my community. I'm just not going to do it. We are here to end homelessness, and we are here to protect those that can't protect themselves.
Organizers say they will continue searching for homeless people until sustained winds reach 45 miles per hour. Josh Rapogo, The Associated Press, Miami.
The University of California is suing over President Donald Trump's decision to halt DACA, the program protecting some immigrants from deportation. The suit says some 4,000 UC students who were brought to the country illegally as children now face expulsion because of, quote, unreasoned executive whim. The lawsuit was filed against the Department of Homeland Security, the agency once led by UC President Janet Napolitano. California's Attorney General is also planning to sue over DACA. Today, Javier Becerra sat down with Scott Schaefer of KQED to talk about the legal fight.
Attorney General Becerra, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Scott.
You're going to be filing a lawsuit probably next week against the Trump administration for phasing out DACA. Can you tell me what is the basis for this lawsuit going to be?
Well, every one of us in this country has grown accustomed to talking about our constitutional rights, whether it's due process, whether it's equal protection, whether making sure that the federal statutes that apply to everyone are enforced in the same way. We believe, and we believe we have a strong case to make, that those laws, those constitutional protections have not been enforced in an equal way, in a due process way, and certainly in violation of the procedures under the federal statutes.
Now, of course, New York and 14 states and the District of Columbia filed a lawsuit earlier this week. Will the legal basis for California's lawsuit be different?
Very similar. There will be some differences, but very similar. We've been working with those 16 attorneys general. We're working with several other AGs as well. We're working with some of our partners here in the state. You may have heard that the UC system has just filed a case as well, and we've been working with them. And so I think what you're finding is that this is going to be a battle that's fought on many fronts. But what we need to do is just make sure we're defending the dreamers.
Why not just join with the other states, or with UC for that matter? Is there a strategy, a legal strategy, of having so many different lines of attack, basically?
Well, you want to make sure, as I said, you have various lines of attack, so that way you can go after the enemy as best possible and come out victorious in battle. And in this case, I think what you're finding is that there are many ways that you can address these illegal actions taken by the Trump administration. I believe that what you're going to find is that in these several actions that will be filed, there will be kernels that are very similar in all of them, but they all will take a slightly different approach. And remember that in California, we have the most dreamers who are affected by the president's action on DACA. In fact, we have more dreamers in California that are affected by DACA than all 16 of the jurisdictions that filed in New York earlier this week.
What would you say to critics who might say, well, you know, this Becerra guy, he just didn't want to share the spotlight with New York and these other states. He's going to be on the ballot next year, and this is just a way for him to get more attention. What would you say to those critics?
I do what I need to do to protect the people of California. I do what I believe is the best way to protect the people, and I'm going to do that. I have joined in some lawsuits. I have initiated some lawsuits. I will do whatever I think is necessary. I say that not just as the Attorney General. I say that as a son of immigrants. I know this issue well. I worked it for 24 years in Congress, and we're going to do everything we must to try to make sure that those DACA recipients, those dreamers who came forward, are paying taxes, went through background checks, are creating jobs, that they understand that in California, we believe they're helping build us.
That was State Attorney General Javier Becerra talking with KQED senior editor Scott Schaefer earlier today. More refugees could be arriving in the U.S. after an appeals court ruling on the president's travel ban. The ruling says an agreement with the resettlement agency is a valid relationship to allow entry despite the ban. But KPBS City Heights reporter Taryn Minto says the impact in San Diego is still up in the air.
The ruling is good news for refugee resettlement agencies, says Etleva Beko of Jewish Family Service. But she says it's still unclear how it will affect arrival numbers in San Diego.
A lot of the factors that are going to impact this are the security checks that might have expired, the priorities that are given to families with bona fide relationships before, and now it has to be reinterpreted. So because of that, it's hard to predict what the impact will be locally.
She says agencies are awaiting direction from the U.S. State Department, which oversees resettlement. The Department of Justice plans to appeal the latest ruling to the Supreme Court. Oral arguments are already scheduled next month in light of previous challenges to the travel ban. Taryn Mento, KPBS News.
San Diego County Republican Party Chairman Tony Kovarik criticized the court's move and says the circus won't end until the Supreme Court weighs in. A bill lawmakers say would decriminalize the HIV virus is on its way to the governor's desk following an intense debate at the Capitol this week. The measure would revise California's HIV disclosure laws. Current law makes it a felony to knowingly transmit the virus to another person. The new proposal would reduce criminal charges to a misdemeanor.
We treat HIV differently than other STDs or other infectious diseases. We just do. It's the only one with a felony. That's not right. That treats it differently, and it importantly sends a message to Californians that this is a disease that is to be shunned, that it is to be stigmatized, and to treat people poorly. And because of that poor treatment, fewer people seek care. It's a vicious cycle of infection that we must break.
Republican Assembly members say the bill is irresponsible and poses a threat to public health. The U.S. government misspent $84 million on a plan to fix California's water system, according to a federal report released today. The California Water Tunnel Project is also known as the California Water Fix. The plan is to re-engineer the state's water system by running two giant tunnels under the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta to central and southern California. California water districts are supposed to bear the cost of the $16 billion project, not federal taxpayers. But the Inspector General says federal authorities did not fully disclose to Congress it was covering much of the planning cost. The San Diego airport is getting an $8 million grant for noise mitigation. The money is coming from the Federal Aviation Administration. The work will provide noise relief for about 700 residents living near the airport. Nearly $6 million more is going to Brown Field to repair a runway. The debate over what to do with Confederate monuments has reached Sacramento. The state Senate has passed a bill calling on Congress to remove those monuments from federal property and put them into museums where they can be viewed in context.
The military leaders of the Confederated States of America participated in a failed war on American soil. They lost. And so the question is, why would we continue to commemorate this failed effort on their part?
But I'm always weary of the current, whatever the current trends are, to erase a history in a limited respect.
The resolution now goes on to the state assembly.
The profound impact and messy politics of dismantling DACA. What does it all mean for San Diego dreamers? And what are state and local leaders doing to protect them? That and more on the KPBS Roundtable tonight at 8:30.
Hurricane Irma is barreling toward the U.S. as one of the strongest storms ever recorded. Meanwhile, Texans continue to clean up from Hurricane Harvey, which killed dozens of people and damaged thousands of homes. Some researchers say the extreme storms are a preview of climate change, while emergency officials say this is a wake-up call for everyone to be prepared. KPBS reporter Susan Murphy has more.
We have a clear, undeniable, indisputable imprint of global warming on the global climate system.
Climate researcher Art Miller with Scripps Institution of Oceanography says warmer than usual ocean temperatures are fueling the massive hurricanes.
That causes more evaporation of moisture into a given hurricane, and once the moisture is in the hurricane, that's what drives the circulation and makes the winds stronger, and once the winds get stronger, that basically pumps up more moisture from the ocean, which then eventually leads to more rain.
Hurricane Harvey developed in 85-degree waters in the Gulf of Mexico. It's approximately 5 degrees warmer than normal. The Atlantic is up nearly 2 degrees. The above-average temperatures are blamed in part to natural variability.
Ocean surface temperature varies from natural causes and also human-induced causes such as climate change. At any given time, at any given place on the globe, both those things will come into play.
Miller, who heads the institution's Oceans and Atmospheres section, says warmer oceans are forecast for the coming decades as they absorb the atmosphere's increased heat from greenhouse gas emissions.
If you think about that the Earth will, warm by a degree centigrade or 2 degrees centigrade over the next 50 years or so, that doesn't seem like very much. But when it comes to making the ocean warmer and fueling these types of extreme events, that's the kind of thing that has, a visible impact, a tragic impact on a lot of people.
Thousands of people in Texas lost their homes and access to food and water with little warning. Rescues took days. Recovery will likely take years. As San Diego enters its peak fire season, with our canyons and hillsides dried to a crisp, emergency officials are hoping people here are paying attention to Houston and the need to be prepared.
It really drives home that there are not enough police, fire, emergency medical services to take care of every person in a catastrophic event.
San Diego does not typically get hit by hurricanes, called typhoons in the Pacific, but the region is susceptible to many other disasters that could have similar devastating impacts.
We have the risk of earthquake, have a major fault that runs right through downtown San Diego, the Rose Canyon Fault. We have numerous other faults throughout San Diego County. If you live along the coast, you should know if you live within a tsunami inundation zone.
The region is also at risk of Santa Ana wind-driven firestorms and floods. Crawford says it's essential for people to have an emergency kit.
You should always have whatever you will need to be self-sufficient for at least 3 days. That's a minimum, and that would include food, water, and emergency supplies. You always want to have some way to get information about what's happening. So a weather radio.
Also, a flashlight, batteries, prescription medications, insurance documents, and family contact information written down in case cell phone coverage is offline.
I think having a car kit is a great idea, as well as at your office.
When it comes to evacuations, Crawford says it's essential to follow orders. Nearly 600 facilities across the county have been pre-screened and designated as emergency shelters.
A first responder will never tell you to evacuate when you don't need to. If they tell you to evacuate, you should leave immediately.
Crawford oversees emergency response when disaster strikes from a command center in Kearney Mesa. The center has been activated during several major fires with 150 emergency officials and city and county leaders who coordinate efforts to keep the public safe.
2007, 12 to 13% of our county's total landmass burned. We had 515,000 people evacuated. In shelters, we sheltered more than 20,000 people. Those are huge numbers.
Lessons learned from previous disasters have increased the county's preparedness and capabilities. But Crawford says climate change is expected to add a whole new dimension. Longer and hotter heat waves, fiercer fire seasons.
Climate change will impact the duration, the frequency, the magnitude, and the location of all of the hazards, really, that we face here in San Diego County, but primarily temperature, precipitation, and sea level rise.
The warmest years on record for the globe have been broken 16 of the last 17 years.
It's going to keep getting warmer, and we're going to have to face up to the impacts of global warming.
Climate researcher Art Miller hopes the devastation from the hurricanes will motivate people into action.
We want to try to make our planet habitable for everyone and protect our planet and take care of it and make sure that things don't get so off kilter that we end up in a place that's really difficult to live for a lot of people.
Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
Sunny skies for San Diego this weekend, followed by possible thunderstorms. Mark Mancuso has more in tonight's forecast.
Low clouds at night, sunshine in the afternoon. We know the drill here. But on Sunday, there could be some thunderstorms around, but drier weather returns on Monday, and it should be a pretty warm day. Looking at tonight, the clouds roll back in. Our low temperature right around 68 degrees, and we could actually have a little bit of drizzle as we head our way up the coast here. As we head into the interior section, some clouds around. Into Ramona in the mountains, we'll dip it down to about 55. Mount Laguna and Borrego Springs will see a low of 73. Saturday, clouds will give way to sunshine. Temperature is warm into the mid and upper 70s. In the interior, we'll see temperatures in the upper 80s. In the mountains, there could be a storm or two. Mount Laguna, storm is possible. Borrego Springs will be hot. There are flood watches, mainly east of our area, but some of that moisture will be drawn westward as we take you through the weekend. So Saturday, most of the activity from the mountains out into the desert. Close to the coast, we'll keep it quiet Saturday. But on the future cast, take a look at Sunday here as we'll see an increased chance for some showers and thunderstorms, even here as a trough slips its way down the California coast. But that trough pulls out on Monday, and we'll be back to drier conditions. So here's our extended forecast for the coast. Saturday, clouds and sun. Watch for a shower storm on Sunday. Warm on Monday, but it will be drier. And there's your temperatures, mid-70s by the middle part of the week. Inland, Saturday, mostly sunny and very warm. Sunday, there could be a shower storm. And then on Monday, drier but warm conditions. Not quite as warm as we head our way into Wednesday. In the mountains, storm chances with us both Saturday and Sunday. Monday, we'll start to dry it out some. Temperatures will hold in the mid-70s. And as we take you into the desert, temperatures rising to the mid-90s, low 100s on Monday. That's going to be the beginning of a warm stretch here with triple-digit readings right through Wednesday. For KPBS, I'm Mark Mancuso.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next News Hour. While hurricanes are hammering the southeastern U.S., we look at the wildfires raging in the Northwest. That's Friday on the PBS News Hour.
Every year, KPBS film critic Beth Accomando pursues her passion for horror by volunteering to work at the Horrible Imaginings Film Festival, a festival dedicated to expanding how we define horror. Beth is one of the festival judges, and she's at the Museum of Photographic Arts, where the festival kicked off about an hour ago. Beth?
Hi. Reporters need to be objective and unbiased, but film critics don't have to be. And that's why I volunteer every year to work at a horror film festival, because horror tends to be a maligned genre, and I like to see some things that help redefine it. And one person who helps to redefine what horror is Miguel Rodriguez, who is the founder and festival director for Horrible Imaginings. So, Beth. Miguel, tell me what a horror film festival is and what people can expect.
So a horror film festival is a celebration of films and different types of art within the genre, where we celebrate new filmmakers and hopefully different voices within the genre that expand what it is capable of in arts and culture. And it's also a place for people to meet the filmmakers and learn more about what they do and how they do things.
Some people will say, I don't like horror, horror's not for me. How does this festival challenge those kind of notions to tell people that maybe there's a diversity in horror?
Well, the first thing I do is I say some of our films might be scary, but they're not all scary. So I define the genre as an art form that expresses dark emotions or expresses the darker parts of the human condition, but it can be expressed in a variety of ways. Comedy, musicals, as well as things that are splattery or scary. So you get such an eclectic grouping of films that there's something for everybody, and we get to kind of like let off some steam.
Now, the festival focuses mainly on new shorts and feature films, but you do have a commitment to showing retro films, classics of the genre. So one of them this year is an Italian giallo. So explain what this is.
So we have the 1964 premiere giallo film, which are kind of Italian murder mysteries. And this was directed by the master Mario Bava. It's called Blood and Black Lace. It is just a masterpiece of color and surrealism, and just it takes place. It's murder mystery in a fashion world. So it's this, having Italy in the height of the fashion industry and having a murderer go through it. It's so fun, and I cannot wait to bring this back. It's a 4K restoration. It looks incredible.
And you are also giving out a Life Achievement Award this year to Dee Wallace. What film of hers are you showing?
There's a brand new film called Red Christmas, starring the great Dee Wallace. We're giving her a recognition for her lifetime achievement, over 230 credits in film and television. She was the mom in E.T., she was in The Howling, she was in Cujo, among so many others. She's a marvelous personality, and it's even more outstanding. Her role in Red Christmas. She takes her kind of matriarch role and turns it on its head a little bit, and I can't wait to show it, and I can't wait to give her a well-deserved award.
We've talked about features, but you show a lot of short films, so talk about these blocks that you have and how you kind of group them.
We get so many short film submissions, and what we're looking for are thematic similarities among disparate types of genres and disparate ways. So you'll have a musical or a dance movie or a comedy or a scary movie all right next to each other. So it's such a wild mixtape of films, but the story they're telling has there's a thread that goes through them. So we'll have the Loved Ones short block group, which all of the stories are about our loved ones, our family, our friends, our lovers, and that is the catalyst for the story. So we look at that, what are we expressing, and that's how we group them together.
You opened the festival with a a taped radio drama, no visuals. This is a film festival, but you started with that. You also have horror literature. And what's that panel going to be?
So the panel for horror literature is horror literature in the 21st century, which actually harkens to the old-time radio thing a bit too. How do we take older things and put them in the new, and looking at how they are still relevant now?
All right, I'm here at Museum of Photographic Arts, and I'm Beth Accomando at Horrible Imaginings Film Festival.
Thanks, Beth. Sounds fun. Now let's take a look at what else is going on around town this weekend with KPBS arts editor Nina Guerin.
We begin with An American in Paris, a show that just got off Broadway. Based on the 1951 film starring Gene Kelly, the show is a perfect blend of song and dance. It has songs from George and Ira Gershwin with beautiful choreography by Christopher Wheeldon. Together with the sets and costumes, this musical really does transport you to another time and place.
Oh no, here goes Mr. Braggadocio. Next thing you know, he's lying like Pinocchio.
We go from the streets of Paris to New York City. Moonlight Amphitheater stages Lin-Manuel Miranda's breakout musical In the Heights, a love story set in a mostly Hispanic neighborhood. This is a story with lots of salsa, rap, and pop. If you're excited to see Hamilton when it comes to San Diego, this is a great musical to tide you over until 2018. Over in Coronado, it's all about carnivorous plants. The community theater puts on a fun version of Little Shop of Horrors.
You'll be
It's a campy, 50s-inspired rock musical about a plant that needs blood to survive. Make sure to listen to the voice of that plant, Audrey II, who's voiced by B.J. Robinson, the host of KPBS TV's Spectrum. Finally, for music fans, there's the popular San Diego Blues Festival. Held at the waterfront, this event highlights blues and gospel music. Headlining the event is the great Mavis Staples.
I talk to my deacon, talk to my teacher.
You'll also be able to see blues guitarist Joe Louis Walker and rising soul band the California Honey Drops. This is a family-friendly event, and children aged 12 and younger are admitted free. For KPBS Arts, I'm Nina Guerin.
Find tonight's stories on our website at kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.